What we're going to do now is make an NPC that talks, and the first command that we're going to learn to use besides the top level command is the message script. The top level is the actual object, and the second level commands are going to be inside the object. Those are going to get run only when they're called upon, and in this case they're going to have to click on the NPC before any of this code in between runs. If you notice here, there's a semicolon. Every command inside the script must have a semicolon, otherwise the server won't know whether or not you're done writing the whole syntax. So each one separates a different command. If we look over here, there's two quotation marks. The quotation marks indicate a string inside. If you leave out the string, it's going to be an integer. A string is basically letters, numbers, and a combination of that and symbols. So it's just pretty much anything goes. If you leave out the quotations, it's going to be an integer. Integers are basically numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that. You can't really use anything else like fractions and stuff. So when you're giving out a string, make sure you put in the quotations, and we're gonna put at the top. The first thing we're gonna make him do is put his name in. So it's gonna be Cypher's assistant. When you put another mess command, it's gonna indicate a second line on the window. So we're gonna put hi, how are you? Right there. So these are going to be on two separate lines in the window that pops up when we click on the NPC. Now, there's going to be a window when you click on here, but if you don't include a button on the window, the player will be stuck on a window screen and they can't do anything until they close out the game, which we don't want to happen. So we're going to put a close button here. Now I'm going to save it, upload, go back to the game. Oops. Okay, we're going to unload him and reload him again, because we updated the script a bit. So you're going to put unload NPC and then the name of the NPC. For me it's Cypher 001. Okay, now we're going to load him back in game. Load NPC. Now if you click on the NPC, you're going to see this right here, which is what we wrote. 2 lines of text and the close button. Now back to the script. For message windows, there's only 2 buttons that you can use. One is the close button that we just used, and the other button is a next for your next page. So we're going to make our script talk a little bit more. Followed by another close. We'll save that. Then you guys are going to upload it. Go back to the game. Unload the NPC. Cypher 007, or 001 I mean. Reload the NPC. Now if we click on him, there's our original script, followed by a next button that we just made. Click next, that's our second page. Close it. Go back to our script. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the basics, but I'll show you what happens when you miss a syntax or you miss the semicolon. Remember that the semicolon separates one command from the next. So if you have a next command here and also a message window command here, but you forget the semicolon, there's going to be some errors produced from there. So let's see what happens when that happens. We're going to save it, upload it, Go back to the game, unload the NPC again. Yeah, you gotta unload and reload your NPC every time you update. Load the NPC back in. Staff, cipher.txt. There he is. Let's click on him. Oh, he doesn't do anything. There's a reason why. Now I'll show you over here. I made a little batch file along with the server to load that gives you guys a bit of a useful information. In the forum, if you go to developer notes, I made a link to the script errors. Usually when there's an error in the server, you'll see messages being produced here. Click on here. It'll show you all the errors that's happened during the script load. So if you notice here, this one is produced from the script that I just created on line 12. And usually they'll give you a hint as to what caused the error. In this case, there was a semicolon. We're missing it on line 12, but the server thinks, well, the server's not going to get it right anyway, because the next command is on line 11, but the other one is on the next line. But you don't have a semicolon, so it can't separate the two commands. So yeah, this is a good tool to use. Usually you want to check the error log, because as you make longer scripts, it's going to kind of be hard to pinpoint where your errors are at. So if you have a log like this, you'll be able to find it much quicker. We're going to go ahead and put back the semicolon that we took out to make the script work again. If you look at line number 9 and line number 12, you'll notice that they're both the same. Of course, your scripts are going to be more than just 2 pages of text. You're going to make him talk a lot more for your own script, and the names are going to get repeated a lot more. So let's say later down the road you want to change your NPC's name. You can either do it the hard way and change every single one of the names, or what you can do is at the top put in set. We'll use NPC name, that, and here I'll just copy this right here. We're going to copy the string to this variable, semicolon. What set does is set will set a variable. A variable is basically storage data used by the server. And there's different kinds of variables that you can use. You can give the variable any name you want. For this, I use NPC name. It's an easy one to remember for my NPC's name. If you notice over here, there's a dot. The dot is actually an NPC scope variable. Remember, I said there's different kinds of variables you can use. This NPC scope variable will get loaded when the script loads, and it'll get destroyed by its own when you unload it. So it'll only need to load itself one time, and everybody else can use it. Now if you set this to this, the @ symbol, it'll save it on your character until you relog. So let's say you have like 500 people on your server, and everybody wants to use this script. If you have this, each one of those players are gonna get this variable loaded on their character, or set on their character. And 500 is gonna be a lot compared to the one that you could use, which is per NPC load. You don't really need this data to change. It's gonna stay the same, so we could just leave that to the NPC storage. There's other kinds of data where they'll need to be saved onto each character. But for this, we only need this one because this value isn't going to change. Now when you set stuff, if you put a $sign here, it'll mean that whatever you set on this side will have to be a string. That means they're going to need to be in quotations. Now if you don't have it and you have the quotations up, it's not going to work, because if you have no dollar sign here, the variable name represents an integer, which is a number. So if you have the quotations up here, that's not a number. So you get this value has to be a number over here. So we're gonna put this back as a string, and the name is gonna be up here. Now down here, what you're gonna do is we're gonna replace where the names were, and just put our variable name, or our variable. The message command is gonna pull the variable information, which we set up here as Cypher's assistant. So you're gonna need to replace this line also. NPC name, dollar sign, and I'm gonna document this so it's easier for me. It's important to keep things organized on your script. Right now the script is small, but later down the road when you guys write longer scripts, documentation is going to be very helpful. You're going to want to write a lot of notes for yourself because, well, it's just easier. If you noticed earlier when we used the script, everything was in black text. And I know you guys have used NPCs before, and you've seen other colored text on there before. I'll show you how to do that right now. Inside the string, on the font that you want to change into a different color, you're going to put this symbol, or not that symbol, this symbol, followed by a hex code. Hex codes usually aren't like that, but I just put these here just as a reminder. RR, it stands for red. This is green. This is blue. Each color represents two data. They're going to be from 0 all the way to, let's see, to F. 0 all the way to F. 0 is going to be darker. F is going to be lighter. So if you put F where red is supposed to be, it'll show the red color more. If you leave these 0, it won't show the green or the blue. So this hex code is actually going to turn the name red. Now when you set a color, make sure you remember to revert the color. So we're going to go back to black text. We're going to put it after the name. If you don't know the hex codes too well, what you could do is you could go to your browser on Google, type in hex codes, and you should be able to see the hex codes for each of the colors. Let's go ahead and save this and upload, and then load in our game. Unload NPC Cypher 001. Let's click on it. Now if you see up here, we changed the name color. So now Cypher's assistant says the same thing, but the name at the top is in red. Okay, that's pretty much it for your first scripting lesson. All we did was learn about variables, top level commands, documentation, our message windows and the buttons used there, what a string is and what an integer is, how to set variables. So for now, all you want to do is just work on getting familiar with these commands.